9 months became 12. 12 months became 3 years. Imagine carrying a pregnancy for 3 years with the world mocking you at every turn. In this gripping tale, Ngozi, the most beautiful maiden, faces betrayal, heartbreak, and an extraordinary twist of fate that would leave you speechless. Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful maiden named Ngozi. She was the most beautiful and sought-after maiden in the kingdom, but her outward beauty was nothing compared to her beautiful heart. She was kind, generous, and always ready to help. Ngozi had all the men in the kingdom and even the neighboring kingdom vying for her attention, including the prince. But Ngozi had eyes for only one man. Ngozi was hopelessly in love with Lutana. Lutana was not the richest man in the kingdom, neither was he the most handsome, but he had Ngozi's heart. Lutana knew how much Ngozi loved him, and so he asked her to marry him, and she accepted. Ngozi's mother had nothing against Lutana, but she wanted her daughter to marry a richer man that would shower her with luxury, but Ngozi could not be deterred from marrying Lutana. Gossip spread throughout the kingdom of the most beautiful maiden marrying just a farmer, but Ngozi was not moved. True love doesn't count riches or status. For Ngozi, Lutana was her treasure, a man who held her heart even when the world whispered against her. On the day of her wedding, Lutana couldn't even bring her complete dowry, but Ngozi pleaded with her parents to accept whatever he gave, and they did. Ngozi moved into Lutana's house and he started their marriage. Lutana was so happy that he showered Ngozi with the most expensive gift he could afford. And Ngozi couldn't help but sing his praises to her friends whenever they came visiting. One day, two of her friends, Ada and Chidinma, had gone to visit Ngozi. And overcome with joy, Ngozi had brought out all the new outfits and matching beads Lutana had bought for her. Ada pointed out that the outfit was last season's design and they were now cheap, but nothing could dampen Ngozi's joy. They may be old designs, but they are new to me. This is a gift of love, so it doesn't matter, Ngozi said. Chidinma, who had been quiet, admiring the gift, finally spoke. Ngozi, you are truly blessed. Not everyone is as lucky to have a husband like Lutana. Anytime her friends visited, she would show them all the wonderful things Lutana was doing and how well Lutana was taking care of her. And so things were going rosy until Ngozi fainted in the farm one hot afternoon. Lutana, who was with her that day, had been talking with Ngozi a little distance away from where she was walking. He came out only to find Ngozi on the floor, unresponsive. He immediately took Ngozi to a healer. After a while, the healer told Lutana that he should take his wife home, make her a delicious meal because Ngozi was pregnant. Lutana was overjoyed. Ngozi, on hearing the news, couldn't wait to share it with her friends. And of course, Ada and Chidinma celebrated with their friend. Lutana showered his wife with all his attention, new outfits and beads, and anything he could lay his hands on. But something unprecedented was about to happen that would make the whole kingdom talk and fold their arms in wonder. If you're enjoying this video, do give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel for more interesting African folktales. Back to the story. 9 months turned to 10, then 12, and soon the whispers became laughter. The people who once admired Ngozi for her beauty now mocked her for being the woman with the endless pregnancy. What has she done to deserve this? Ngozi and Lutana started panicking. They both visited the healer and she told them that the baby was still alive and healthy. The healer had no explanation as to why Ngozi had not gone into labor after 12 months. The healer advised them to be patient, but Lutana's patience was running thin. People started talking and whispering among themselves about Ngozi and her 1-year pregnancy. But 6 months after, Ngozi was still pregnant and was now the village laughingstock. If she walked by, she would hear people whispering and laughing at her. Ngozi visited another healer in the neighboring village, but they all said the same thing, that the baby was healthy. 2 years after, Lutana was now fed up. He started keeping late nights, coming home drunk, and graduated to staying away for days at a stretch. Lutana changed from the kind, loving man Ngozi had known to a monster. As the months kept rolling into 3 years since Ngozi had gotten pregnant, Lutana could no longer take it. The sight of Ngozi and her pregnancy repulsed Lutana. Oh, how the tide had turned. The man who once adored Ngozi with every fiber of his being was now a shadow of himself. Had love truly withered under the weight of their trials? One evening, Lutana suggested to his wife that since healers could not help her, they needed to visit a seer. And Ngozi, who had no choice, agreed. Immediately, they got to the seer's shrine. The seer, seeing Ngozi, told her that she is the cause of her problem and that he could not help her. Before Ngozi and Lutana could say a word, he asked his boys to take them out of his shrine, and they did. When Lutana and Ngozi came back home, Lutana told Ngozi to go in and pack all her things and leave his house. Lutana, we vow to stay by each other. Don't let this tear us apart. I love you, Ngozi begged, but Lutana insisted she must go. When Ngozi refused to leave, Lutana packed her things and took Ngozi back to her parents. Ngozi stayed indoors and cried out her eyes. She couldn't fathom what was happening to her. Life had dealt her a very hard blow, and she couldn't understand what she had done. The seer's words confused her. She had never done anyone any harm all her life. Lutana, after returning Ngozi to her parents, felt like a huge load had been lifted from his shoulders. Ngozi tried begging Lutana, but he didn't want to see or hear from her. Ngozi could not eat or sleep. The precarious situation she had found herself robbed her of her sleep and appetite. Ngozi aged overnight. The beauty she was known for was gone. One day, her mother told her that she would follow her to Lutana's house to beg him, and they went over to Lutana's house. What greeted their eyes shocked them to the marrow. Cooking in Ngozi's kitchen was one of her best friends. Chidinma was in Lutana's kitchen cooking. Ngozi asked her friend what she was doing at her husband's house, but Chidinma completely ignored Ngozi and her mother. It was as though they were both invisible to Chidinma. The stink of betrayal is sharpest when it comes from those closest to you. Chidinma, once a friend, was now a thief of Ngozi's happiness. She had made herself at home in Ngozi's house. They both sat down and waited for Lutana, and when he got back, he didn't let Ngozi or her mother talk. He simply told them that Ngozi was now a closed chapter and that he had moved on with his new wife. Ngozi was about to get on her knees to beg Lutana when her mother held her and told her that they should go back home. That night, Chioma, Ngozi's mother, could not sleep. She was so heartbroken that her daughter was going through so much. In the early hours of the morning, Chioma called her daughter and told her to follow her. Ngozi dressed up and followed her mother out. They walked for miles until Ngozi could no longer walk. They must have passed 2 villages, but Chioma encouraged her daughter that they had to keep going. Finally, they arrived at a village. Chioma stopped the first village that they met. "I'm inquiring about Ugo, the blind bat," she asked the lady, who seemed to be heading to the stream with her pot of water. "Ugo is still alive, but her temper has gotten worse. People rarely go to her. She almost blinded the last person that went there." "Thank you," Chioma said as she cut the woman off. Ngozi, on hearing what the lady had said, became worried. "This is Ugo's hut," Chidinma told her daughter as they approached a house that looked secluded and poorly maintained. "Chioma, I thought I warned you to never come back here." They both heard a voice scream out. A beautiful old woman emerged. She was clad in white with long grey hair. The old woman walked towards them and then stopped. She held out her hands, and Chioma placed her hand into the old woman's hand. The woman held onto Ngozi's mother's hand and pulled Chioma towards herself and pinched her. Chioma screamed and pulled away. "That is for keeping your daughter away from me. Why didn't you bring her to visit all these years?" Ugo said. "Come," she said, and they followed her as she walked steadily to the side of her hut where there were seats. They all sat down in silence for a while before the old woman got up and walked back into the hut. Ngozi turned to her mother. "I thought you said she was blind," Ngozi said. She was surprised that the old woman was walking around without any assistance. Ugo, the blind bat, returned and sat down. "Chioma, no matter how far a man runs, they can never outrun their destiny," the old woman said. "Take this egg," she said, and brought out an egg. "First thing in the morning, boil it and give it to your daughter to eat. Remember, she cannot outrun her destiny," Ugo said, and asked them to get up and leave. The following day, Chioma did as instructed. A month after, the king sent for Ngozi's parents. The king told them that a king from a neighboring kingdom was interested in marrying their daughter. By custom, Ngozi's husband returning her to her parents with her belongings signaled the end of their marriage. Ngozi's parents were too shocked to speak. They tried explaining to the king that their daughter, though no longer married, had been pregnant for the past 4 years. The king told them that the king of that village had seen Ngozi. He had carried out his findings and was still interested in marrying her. Ngozi met with the king and was surprised to see a young, kind man. She was surprised and wondered why the king wanted to marry a pregnant woman who had been pregnant for years. But then she remembered the words of the blind bat. She wondered if marrying the king was her destiny. Well, Ngozi accepted the king's proposal and married him. After the marriage celebration, Ngozi followed the king back to his kingdom. Immediately she got to the palace, she went into labor and delivered 2 babies, a boy and a girl. Ngozi looked at her babies in shock. Against all odds, Ngozi's destiny had unfolded in the most unexpected way. The woman who was mocked and cast aside now stood as a queen, a mother to the future prince and princess. Who could have imagined such a twist? But the king, Ngozi's new husband, had been given a glimpse of his future 10 years before. His father, the king before him, had just passed and he had ascended the throne. He was in the royal palace sitting in his throne room, deep in thought, when the royal messenger entered. "Your Majesty, a seer from a distant land has arrived. She claims to have a message of great importance," the messenger had said. Intrigued, the king had gestured for the seer to enter. The seer, an imposing figure with piercing eyes, entered the room. "Your Majesty, I have come to you with a vision of a woman pure of heart and blessed by the gods. She carries within her seeds, conceived under extraordinary circumstances. She is destined to be your queen," the seer had said. The king had been surprised and curious and had asked, "How can you be so certain?" The seer had simply responded by saying that the stars have spoken. "Your Majesty, this woman will bring peace and prosperity to your kingdom. Trust in destiny and embrace her," the seer had said before leaving. The king, though puzzled, was drawn to the seer's words. He had prayed and watched until he had seen Ngozi walk past him that day with her mother. She was heavily pregnant, but he had been drawn to her. He had asked his men to follow her and find out who she was. In his dream that night, he had seen the scene with the seer just like it had happened 10 years ago, and that had confirmed to the king that Ngozi was his queen. The same day Ngozi put to birth, Lutana's new wife, who was also pregnant, went into labor, but hers became a different story. A whole day passed, but Chidinma was still in labor. On the second day, she was growing weak. The seer was called. He once again said that Chidinma was the cause of her problem and she should confess or she would die. Chidinma confessed that she had locked her friend's womb because she was rubbing her husband's love in her face, boasting of the things the husband was doing for her. She had locked her womb and had snatched her husband from her. Jealousy had poisoned Chidinma's heart, turning her from friend to foe. But envy, like a caged bird, eventually finds its way out, leaving destruction in its wake. Lutana now understood what the seer had meant when he said that Ngozi was the cause of her problem. It was because she had been telling her friends of her good fortunes that had led to the jealousy of Chidinma. After confessing, Chidinma put to birth, but the baby died. Unfortunately, Lutana couldn't go back to his wife because she was already married. Ngozi's new husband took her children as his, and they were now prince and princess. Life has a way of balancing the scales. While Ngozi embraced her new blessings, those who wronged her were left to face the bitter fruit of their actions. Sometimes, it's best to keep some part of one's good fortune close to one's chest. Sharing one's blessing with others is a noble act, but it's important to maintain a sense of balance and avoid excessive boasting. Envy can lead to destructive behavior and harm those around us. It's important to cultivate gratitude and contentment. Please share this story with a friend or two that you know would enjoy it. Thank you so much. Bye.